What are you talking about? Chavez and Maduro do care about the people. Do you know that the average monthly salary in Venezuela is less than $1? We want to talk about the amount of illegal immigrants that were coming across the southern border from Venezuela to the United States, but make no mistake, the brunt of that illegal immigration and the destabilization of that area has affected South Americans. Okay, approximately 2.8 million Venezuelans currently reside in Colombia. Okay, I've been in Colombia for an entire year. Do you think the Colombians are happy about that? No, it destabilizes their region. It causes an increase in crime. All of those low wage the unemployment in Colombia. I was looking at Colombian news today, and they were celebrating the fact that the unemployment rate is 8.8 at 8.8%. And I'm like, what? That's giving recession level unemployment. And they were like, that's the lowest it's been since 2001. So when you have a lot of these Venezuelans having to come over, well, guess what? Now Colombians have to compete for jobs, especially Colombians who would otherwise be working those low wage jobs. And this is not a knock on Venezuelans. I met plenty of very nice, kind Venezuelans. And like, I'm grateful they have an opportunity to make an income for themselves. But it's causing a lot of destabilization in this region. Peru, around 1.66 million Venezuelans reside in Peru. In the United States, we have a million. Brazil, 630,000 Venezuelans. So how does Maduro and how does Chavez care about their people when their people have to flee their country? They can't live in their country anymore. I meet so many Venezuelans who were like, I wish I could return home, but I can't while Maduro is in office. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like if you are a liberal in the United States, or you are some type of radical or socialist or communist or whatever the case may be, we have the luxury of speaking on these things. We have the luxury of glorifying these type of figureheads because we don't have to deal with the consequences. We can write a check that essentially our ass cannot cash. His people, the Venezuelans, their ass is cashing that check. Period. And the results are mass destabilization and mass migration and mass poverty and suffering. They literally will be in the street burning their currency because it's worth nothing. Venezuela is under U.S. embargoes, just like Cuba. They are cut out of international markets. Okay, again, people want to blame the United States for everything. You can't blame the United States for everything. Again, you have a leader who is trafficking humans and drugs across our border. How are we expected to have a good relationship with these people? Are we supposed to just say, hey, you're disrespecting us? But we are going to allow you to flourish without sanctions. That's not how this goes. See, everybody wants to talk mess about the United States, but at the same time wants to take from the United States. There are other countries in Latin America who have who have narco traffickers, but know how to be low key, don't disrespect us, and have a great relationship with the United States, who are not dealing with U.S. embargoes and have flourishing economies. Furthermore, if you talk to Venezuelan people that have had to flee the country, they don't blame the United States. I feel like that's something that we mostly do in the United States. They blame Maduro. They're not, oh, you know what they tell me? They say, when are they going to take Maduro out? When is the United States going to invade Venezuela? They are begging for us to invade Venezuela. They are begging for us to take out Maduro. I was even talking to a Colombian, and he was kind of, throwing his shots at the United States, but then within that same conversation, he was talking about the illegal immigration by Venezuelans, and he was like, well, when is the United States going to do something about it? So it's like the same people that talk mess about the United States beg us to intervene when it's in their best interest. Okay, guys, if y'all are just now coming,
Now this
hit the
morning,
like button.
bombing one of these ships to Kingdom Come. This is without question crushing their business. And the dirty secret, though, is it's not just the cartels that are going to be suffering from this, it's the people in power in some of these Latin American countries. The State Department declaring Maduro a narco terrorist. Also in Mexico, the cartels, they've infested the Mexican government. Even the president of Mexico herself, her political party, rather, the Moreno party, is allegedly in business with the cartels. And you know what happens when you mess with people's money, right? They strike back. Now, the interesting thing about this is how the Trump administration is targeting Venezuela first. Everyone knows if you want to go after the drug cartels, you do so in Colombia and Mexico. Both of them, though, allies with the United States. Venezuela, however, not our ally. In fact, our enemy, Nicolas Maduro, a pure socialist leader, the successor to Hugo Chavez, and is allied with Russia, China, and Iran. Also, Venezuela happens to be one of the most strategically important countries in our hemisphere. Huge oil resources and rare earth minerals located in Venezuela. General Laura Richardson of
Super intensive shrimp farming faces production inefficiencies.
Southcom, the commander of Southcom, openly explaining this to the Atlantic Council, why she says it's critical the U.S. obtains operational control over Venezuela. You can't make this up. Watch.
If I talk to my number two adversary in the region, Russia, I mean, I've got, of course, the countries, Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua with Russia relationships, but why this region matters with all of its rich resources and rare earth elements. You've got the lithium triangle, which is needed for technology today. 60% of the world's lithium is in the lithium triangle: Argentina, Bolivia, Chile. You just have the largest oil reserves, light sweet crude, discovered off of Guyana over a year ago. You have...
Let me say this too, because again, a lot of people like to talk shit about the United States, but I've said this before. I'll say it again. These countries have been in existence, or they've been at the very least under colonial rule, and have been being developed since before the United States was even a thought. A lot of these countries have had settlements since the late 1400s and 1500s. They've been more powerful. They've been ruled by more powerful empires and people. When the United States was 13 states and small colonies, these were wholly developed civilizations by Europeans. So let me say this. If you got a head start on the United States and you are upset because the United States surpassed you, and you had at least 100 to 200 years of development on the United States, whose fault is that? And when you go to a lot of these countries, again, I'm in South America, very beautiful. I love it here. It's very beautiful. Culturally, I love it. But there are some things that you wouldn't understand unless you lived here that allow you to understand, I see why the United States is ahead of you. I understand completely. A lot of the leadership in these countries have sold their people out, because there's no reason why, as resource rich as Venezuela is, that they should not be a world power. A lot of these countries, for example, we can even talk about Argentina. Before Argentina was more of a world power than us before we became a world power. Their countries made choices way before we decided to even interfere in their countries. Their countries and their leadership made choices, and we rose to power and we surpassed them. And it is what it is. If you talk to a lot of locals or people from these countries, they will tell you about the policies where the very wealthy have sold their people out to large corporations or to other countries. So whose fault is that? Honestly and truly, whose fault is it? That's what I said. I said, women, stop it. They were ruled over Spain and Portugal and Britain. Don't do that's exactly. Didn't I say they were colonized? So they were colonized. The United States was colonized. We were colonized by Britain. We fought for our independence, just like them. A lot of same thing, same history. Ours just came later. The United States was colonized by Great Britain. The people over here fought for their independence. And the leadership of our country made decisions, whether you agree with them or not, made decisions that eventually led to the United States being the greatest superpower in the world. It just is what it is. And surpassing other nations in our hemisphere that initially had more wealth than us. The Americas are very resource rich. They're abundantly rich. So we have that same history of colonization as they do. So what are we talking about here? Decisions. The decisions that the leadership in these countries made all the difference. And as I said before, there's always going to be somebody more powerful than you. So people cannot be upset that their leadership made decisions that put them in the position that they are today, to where the United States has the most power on the hemisphere. And we're never going to live in a world where people share power equally and respect each other and don't try to take each other's resource. That is a childish way of thinking. It's never in the history of humanity happened, and it's not going to happen. Let's continue.
Venezuela's resources as well, with oil, copper, gold. We have the Amazon, lungs of the world. We have 31% of the world's fresh water in this region too. I mean, it's just off the charts. We have a lot to do. This region matters. It has a lot to do with national security, and we need to step up our game.
So is this really about eradicating the drug cartel?
And we could say, like, Jamal, I see you're like, oh, she's greedy. Look at her talking about those people's resources. Do y'all not understand? This is the thing, again, we can say this with privilege over here. We can say it. We can talk bad about our country, and we can talk bad about the people that go get the resources. And I believe in self-determination. In a perfect world, every country would cooperate with each other. We would politely ask for resources. We wouldn't snatch resources. Everybody would know what to do with their resources that would be to the best benefit of their people. But like, it's so easy to say that when you live in countries and nations where the people who have went and taken resources have made life so comfortable for you that you don't really have to experience a real bottom. Go to a lot of these countries where they mismanage the resources, or they have not figured out a way. For example, we have poor people in the United States, no doubt, but the bottom in a lot of these other countries falls way lower than the bottom of the United States. At the very least, most people in the United States are going to have access to a phone. They're going to have access to hot water and electricity most of the time, right? You go to a lot of these other places and they don't even have access to clean running water as like a minimum, just running water in the house. So again, it's easy to criticize the leadership of our countries when we benefited from it. We have. And you don't realize the benefit until you go see how other people are living, and you're like, y'all, your government just allows people to like live this way.
I don't know. It seems like it might be a kill two birds with one stone approach. Use this as moral justification for using kinetic force in Venezuela, which creates insecurity in the country, allowing CIA to more easily carry out regime change, something you'd think Tulsi Gabbard would be opposed to. Let me know what you think about this. We've been reporting on this for a week now, that we would see.
This is what I would like to see happen. Sorry, y'all please hit the like button. It helps people know that I'm on live. This is what I would like to see happen in that region. I would like to see a regime change. If the United States, if our government is hell-bent on getting access to those resources, you got to think about it like this. The people who are in power right now are not doing right by those resources. Do y'all understand? They're choosing to make most of their money off of narco trafficking and crime. So whoever has been in power and been in charge of those resources, for whatever reasons, they have not figured out a way to adequately utilize their resources to the best of their ability in a way that would benefit the Venezuelan people. If the United States says we're going to go in and we are going to regime change and we are going to take advantage of these resources, I would like to see them do it in a way that would benefit the everyday Venezuelan, because you're going to need people to mine these factories. You're going to need people to process it. You're going to need people to do shipping. So if the situation could change to where the average Venezuelan would at least have access to a job to where they'd be making more than $1 as their average salary, that would be a win for the Venezuelan people, whether you like it or not. And this is the reason why a lot of Venezuelans are actually calling for a U.S. invasion of Venezuela. They are actually calling for regime change. They're happy. They're excited. I have yet to see a Venezuelan not be happy about this. So this is what I would like to see. I would like to see, if we are going to go in and do this, this needs to just benefit. At this point, them just being able to have access to hot water, 3 square meals a day, electricity, good transportation, being able to stay in their homes and not have to flee, them being able to return to an economy where they can get work, that would be a win for Venezuelans. And I know some of y'all might not see it like that. It's like, oh, the United States is evil. The United States is bad. But that is not how they see it. I promise you, it's not.